Now this video is completely pure speculation, but overall it comes down to this. Will there be a shortage of drivers in 2022? Will there be that huge Uber and Lyft shortage in 2022 that we had in 2021? Overall, I don't think so. I've been asked this question both by people who drive, saying, hey Mark, do you think all those crazy bonuses that happened in 2020 and 2021, do you think that will come back in 2022 or happen again? Will there be another shortage? And from some of my friends saying, hey Mark, I know you know a lot about this Uber and Lyft situation and companies and the whole ride-sharing thing. Do you think that will ever happen again where, say, the rates are just outrageous and it's near impossible to get a Lyft and Uber? Honestly, I don't think so. I think that the biggest determining factor overall really is the pandemic, right? As we all know, that's really what caused this huge shortage. It was a worldwide crazy thing, and we're still kind of going through it, right? I don't even know when the pandemic is going to end, if it ever does end. For what it seems like, when I've read some reports online from scientists and whatnot, we're going to have COVID in our lives forever. So it might just turn into another flu situation where we always get a vaccine here and there. And there are definitely going to be more variants coming out, right? We heard about the Delta when it came out, then the Delta Plus, and there was a Mu variant. Now the biggest one is the Omicron, or however you pronounce it. Again, it sounds more like a Pokemon to me, but we're going through that right now. And I think because a lot of people are just used to the logistics of this pandemic, wearing a mask, getting vaccinated, being checked for vaccination proof, getting into a Lyft and Uber and you don't have Uber Pool or Lyft line. The fact that a lot of Lyft and Uber drivers now have plexiglass to make it a lot safer for you. The fact that you can't have somebody sitting in the front seat. All these different things that we've kind of had to get used to, I feel like we're already used to in general. Meaning that when the shortage happened in 2020 and 2021, none of us were used to it. We're like, wait a minute, we have to wear a mask in general? We've all been there too, especially a year or two ago, where you do this thing and you're like, shoot, I forgot my mask. That was a new thing. Now, I think I'm more likely to forget my wallet in my house than to forget my mask, right? It's just kind of like a staple. So I think in the beginning, it was something we were so just new with, and we were just trying to figure it out day by day, that a lot of people were like, you know what? I'm not going to take a Lyft and Uber. I don't need to. And a lot of people also say, you know what? I'm not going to drive. Now, though, I feel like it's such, for better or for worse, a commonplace of having to wear a mask, getting used to the Uber and Lyft logistics. We're all so used to it now that I don't think a shortage will actually ever happen again, at least not in the foreseeable future, because we're so used to the way the pandemic is currently working, if that makes sense. Now, granted, that could change. Maybe there's a new variant that comes out that's so intense that we're like, you know what, we need to go way back to lockdown, which would be horrible, but in the name of public safety, maybe we'll have to do that again. But overall, I think that, especially for next year, I don't think there will be a shortage. The one thing I do think will stay around, though, and I mean this in a good way, is I think after 2020 and 2021, looking at things in a positive way, I talked about this before in another video, that people got used to spending more money for Ubers and Lyfts, right? Back in the day, I feel like you used to pay almost nothing. I said this before, that when I used to live in the Valley here in LA, I could go from the Valley to West Hollywood to a nightclub. You're looking at a 45-minute ride, and I'd spend $12 to go 45 minutes. And it's not just 45 minutes in bumper-to-bumper traffic. You're talking about 45 minutes and a ton of miles. I can't remember how many it was, but a good amount of miles, and it was only $12. Now, I could spend $12 to maybe go 10 minutes down the road, right? And I think in a good way, in a good blessing in disguise way, people are now used to spending that kind of money for Ubers and Lyfts. And it doesn't seem like people, and I've done some research on this, it doesn't seem like people are complaining as much. Even though things are now, for the most part, kind of back to normal, although the Omicron variant is kind of annoying, even though things are now kind of back to normal, even still, people are still like, hey, you know what? I get that if I want to go to this spot, this is how much I'm going to pay in an Uber. It's just the way the world is. This is how much ride sharing costs. And I mean that in the good way, that even though maybe those bonuses, those crazy deals, those amazing incentives, even though they won't probably come back in 2022, you could still be almost, in my opinion, guaranteed that the charges or the amount that someone has to spend to get an Uber and Lyft is going to stay the same. But let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think there is going to be a shortage? Do you think things could almost reverse back? Let me know what you think in the comments. I think overall, trying to look at things in a very optimistic way, I think as a result of the pandemic, it did kind of put people's perspectives in mind when it comes to ordering a Lyft and Uber, that they are going to be pricier than normal. And as long as Lyft and Uber does what they should do, that equals more money in your pocket.